Okay, so thank you so much for showing up on the screen. It's really lovely to have this opportunity to share some information with you about something I've become quite passionate about over these last year or so. So I don't know all of you. You may or may not know me. So just very briefly, I'm Delia and I work here in Forest Row as an alternative health practitioner, working with many years and decades of experience with Alexander technique and with coaching and with something called the journey, which is a healing technique, and working with people with all sorts of mental, physical, emotional challenges and difficulties. So I'm not talking to you today about Alexander technique or any of those other modalities, but about something that I've become more involved with and more passionate about over this COVID time, really, and found that it's been incredibly helpful both to me, to my clients, in helping them recover and improve their health, and also in improving their tissues' ability to respond to those other modalities I might be using to work with them with. And in the main, I got into this to help one of my relatives who has cancer. And this was something that I stumbled across really in an attempt to find alternatives to chemotherapy. So I've been diving into this territory of bioresonance with a lot of different interests, both for this relative with cancer, for my clients, for my own health, and got very excited about it and got to a point where the results I was seeing was so definite and so wonderful that I felt a bit mean not sharing the information. So I started giving little talks like this because I wanted to say, hey, everybody, you know, if you're stuck with long COVID or stuck feeling down after these last couple of years of challenge, there are things that can help. There are things we can do that don't involve side effects and further difficulties. So I want to share a few ideas. Some of them I'm sure will be familiar to you, especially if you've already had some experience with bioresonance. Please just take what's useful and chuck away the rest. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying this is what I've discovered and learned so far, and you might also find this interesting or useful. And of course, you can contact me afterwards if you want to know more or you want to talk more. And at the end, if you want to ask questions, feel very free to stay and ask questions. I'm going to talk for probably about an hour or a bit less. I'm going to show you loads of pictures, mainly lots of pictures, and chat over the top of them. So hopefully that will be interesting and give you lots of things like before and after pictures, which is much more interesting, I think, than just listening to somebody talking. So I hope that's okay with you all. Let me now go on to screen share, and I'll start talking a little bit about bioresonance and some of the possibilities. So here we go. Good. Can everybody see this slide saying bioresonance?
Yes.
Fantastic. Good. So this is where we're going to start, bioresonance. Okay. So there's lots of modalities for improving health, many ways of building strength and becoming healthier. But this guy, Nikola Tesla, said, well, if we want to discover the secrets of the universe, and I like to think that our health is one of those secrets, then let's think in terms of energy, of frequency, and vibration. I love this quote, and it's a really good quote in relation to bioresonance, because many people believe that bioresonance is really the way forwards in terms of health and health treatments. It's the if you like, the medicine of the future. Of course, it's not a medicine, as we'll see. So let's think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, and let's think in these terms in relation to our health. So when we start thinking about energy, vibration, and frequency, one of the things that immediately comes up is electricity. And it's been proven that a low pulsating electromagnetic field produces the effect of stimulating cells. So electricity can be used to harm, but it can be used to heal. It can be used to improve health. And it has this effect of stimulating cells. And this can cause a whole chain of processes that can lead to a change in health, a bettering of health, without side effects, which is something that's very lacking these days, to find a way of improving that doesn't have a toxic load or a side effect of some sort. So we're going to use this information and think about it in terms of our organs and our cells and our body systems. Now, you may or may not know, many people have discovered that each organ has its own frequency of electromagnetic oscillations. And each healthy organ, each organ that's strong and working optimally, has a particular unique frequency. Likewise, if we are overtired, if we are stressed, if we're subject to viruses, bacteria, we pick up toxins, we get ill, we pick up pathogens unknowingly, that strong, healthy frequency of electromagnetic oscillations will begin to change. It will become weaker. And as our healthy frequencies weaken, so do our organs and our cells. And at this point, we might start experiencing symptoms of ill health. So we might have less energy, we might get a rash, we might, I don't know, get a sore throat or something. We might go off to the doctor. At least many people would, maybe not here in Forest Row, you might go off to the homeopath, but many people will simply go off to the doctor. And of course, in mainstream medicine, one of the main ways of treating a patient is via drugs. And they may or may not work. They're very much, in the main, there to address symptoms rather than the root cause. And as a doctor once said to me, give me a drug with no side effects and I'll show you an ineffective drug. So the minute we start taking mainstream medicine, there will be a toxic load on the liver. There will be some side effects, some imbalance created, which isn't ideal. And this is where bioresonance comes in, because we have another very potent, very powerful option for improving our health without the need to take those drugs and take on an additional toxic load. This is also where looking at the idea of our organs having their own frequency comes in. The word resonance, taken from bioresonance, simply means the matching of frequencies. And there's a little law, I don't know what it's called, but that little rule or law is that when you have two things together, each having their own innate frequency, the one that's got the stronger frequency, the one that's resonating the most strongly, will affect the one that's resonating more weakly. So in this example with two tuning forks, if I had two tuning forks here, one in each hand, and I kept one still, but the other I knocked against something, so it went ding, that frequency that's created, that vibration that's created, would gradually reach this tuning fork, and this tuning fork would begin to join in and vibrate and sound at that same frequency. So we have the stronger frequency affecting the weaker frequency and bringing about a joining, a matching of frequencies. And this is the basis on which bioresonance works. Another example of this, to put it into a day-to-day context, you may have had an experience of wanting to learn a song. You might have heard a song on the radio, or you might have heard a choir singing a song, and you might think, oh, that's nice, I'd like to learn that. And the first time you listen to it, it's just a nice song, it's outside of you and you can't join in because you don't know it. But if you were to hear it repeatedly, you'd find that gradually you'd begin to join in with this phrase or those words, this little bit. And if you continued to listen to it, you'd begin to find you could sing a whole phrase, and at some point you'd be able to sing the whole song. So your voice would be matching the voices that you heard singing the song. But probably you wouldn't be able to sing it totally on your own. You could sing it with the radio or sing it alongside a choir, but maybe not on your own yet. But if you continued to sing it and to practice it, singing with the radio, at some point you'd find you could hold your own, you could sing it on your own, and you'd really know it. And this is really, again, a reflection of this mirroring of frequencies, this matching of frequencies, that you start off not knowing the song, and in time you begin to pick up, to join in with bits, until at some point you can sing it on your own, in the same way that the quiet tuning fork at some point could sound on its own, having picked up the frequency from the one that was tinged. And we have examples of this all the time in our lives. We're constantly being affected by the mood of the people we're with, or the energy that's in the room that we're in. We're constantly matching the frequencies of those around us. And this is something that physicians like Reinhard Voll and Helmut Schimmel discovered and developed ways of using this information to improve the frequency of people's organs, to return our organs, our body systems, to their healthy level of oscillation, using this little rule that whatever's resonating the most strongly affects that's resonating more weakly. So they developed some of the first bioresonance machines. We can see here the Vega test machine. Some of you may have had a Vega test in the past, which is working with the frequencies of the body. So this is what I'm going to be talking about. But rather than looking at machines like the Vega testing machine, I'm going to introduce Deta Elis Holding here, who are a company that I've been working with. Here's the director, Vasilis. He's a lovely, warm-hearted guy. And they have this mission to help people globally to improve their health by not just addressing the symptoms, but by really getting to the root cause of any illness or dis-ease. And to do that holistically without any side effects. So they're on a mission to bring to the world, and they operate in, I think it's 27 countries now around the world, to bring means and ways for people to improve their health without side effects. And some of the devices they've developed are ones that I'm going to talk about now. These are bioresonance devices. And unlike most bioresonance devices, like the Vega test machine, for instance, which are quite big and clunky, and they require that you go to a clinic and you have sessions there, and you probably need to go quite regularly, they've developed some of the world's first portable devices. You can see here they fit within the palm of my hand. They're quite small. And these work really a bit like having a doctor in your pocket. They can address all sorts of different conditions and illnesses, be they mental, physical, or emotional, or energetic. So I'd like to start introducing their approach to health using bioresonance. And what I love about them, one of the things I love about them at least, is that they have this three-pronged approach. So unlike some systems that say, just need to detox and get rid of all the stuff bunging up our system, or no, we need to build up and strengthen, or no, we need to do X, Y, or Z. This company say there's three main approaches that we need to take on board if we're actually truly to get to the root cause of any health issue and begin to improve it. So first, we need to have the cellular energy. At a foundation level, we need to have sufficient energy in our cells that we are energized enough that we can rebuild our health or detox that we don't need. We also need a sense of harmony and balance between the different cells and body systems. And we need not only a sense of physical balance, but also emotional balance. So if we have lots of negative thoughts and mindsets, that's going to knock us off balance and create difficulty health-wise, because whatever we're thinking is going to manifest physically as better health or more challenged health. And then once we have energized ourselves and brought about a state of harmony and balance, we need to protect that. So we need to protect our energetic system from the harmful effects of things like radiation and electrosmog. So first they say we need to create these good foundations. Then we need to detox. We need to spring clean our system, detoxing, eliminating and purifying our cells so that things like heavy metals and old viruses and toxins and pathogens, parasites, etc., these aren't interfering with our health. And once we've detoxed, which is a bit like pulling up the weeds in the garden, we can then start growing the beautiful flowers. So we can then begin to restore, rejuvenate, recalibrate, and return the healthy rhythms of our organs back into the body to create better health. So we have this three-pronged approach coming from three angles, and there are three little mini devices, all the size that fits into your hand, all working with different low frequencies. These are the frequencies we already find in our body, which is why they can't do us any harm. We're not introducing any strong harmful frequencies like the frequencies you get with something like 5G or 4G. These are all the frequencies we already have in the body. And so no harm is brought about through using these. So I'd like to briefly just introduce these three devices and show you a little bit about them. First, we have what's called the energy device, the Deta Energy, and this is the one that's all about filling our cells with energy, protecting our cells from the harmful effects of radiation and helping to reduce stress and to eliminate negative mind states. They call them psychotoxins. So if we're feeling very down about ourselves or very negative about our lives, it's going to help to bring about an emotional balance. So it's quite a clever little device, and it's really quite important, especially where someone is beginning to get ill or they are ill, because one of the things it does is that the frequencies, which are called floating frequencies that this device uses, help maintain the correct electrical voltage within each cell. Now, as we get ill, that voltage drops. And if it drops to 40 to 50 millivolts or so, the cell begins to enter a degenerative stage. This is what we see with a lot of really chronic and nasty illnesses. So this device will keep the electrical voltage up to 70 to 110 millivolts, which is what we need for good health. And this was shown recently in some research that was done in Russia. I believe it was earlier this year. For 6 months, the emergency services, so the ambulance people, were given this little energy device to use when they were called out to emergencies. So patients who had things like strokes or heart attacks. And they placed the energy device on the body of those patients, and they had it on their body in the ambulance and until they were seen in hospital. And what they discovered over 6 months of doing this research was that there was an 80% increase in the survival rates of those patients who had the energy device placed upon them in this transit to hospital. So that's quite a stunning figure there, really. The people who didn't have the energy device didn't have such a good chance. So quite a potent little machine. Now it has 8 programs that all work on these energetic harmonizing balancing levels. The energy one that I've talked about, the protection program I'm going to show you a little video about in a second. This is the program that protects our cells from the harmful effects of different forms of radiation. And they have other programs here with different names that will help harmonize different aspects of our life, emotional life and physical life. But I'd like to come to the protection program because obviously at the moment we're in a state where we've had 3G, 4G and now 5G is being introduced in different countries and gradually around the UK. And this is disastrous for our cells, absolutely awful. So this little device is going to be incredibly useful in safeguarding us from the effects of that. And I'm going to show you a little video, it's a minute or two long, and let me explain what you're going to see. This thing in blue here is a tablet that's emitting Wi-Fi. And this is a little reader that's going to read the level of radiation coming from the tablet. And if you watch this figure here, which is quite high, 894 at the moment, it's going to go up kind of above 1,000 and hover around there. But the person who made this video is going to come in with the little energy device and pop it on the tablet. And at that point, if you watch this figure, you'll see it drops down to 0. Then she's going to take it away and you'll see the figure rise up to 1,000 or so. And then she'll repeat it. You'll see the number going down, just to show how the energy device blocks radiation. So let's see what's happening here. That's the energy device, and there it says 0. And then she takes it away, and immediately it's up there to 900, went to 1,000 just now. So it's back reading the Wi-Fi. And then in a second, she's going to bring it in again, and we'll see the energy device do its amazing work. It's coming any second. Here we go. Look at the numbers, down to 0 again. So that's just an example of this little device working. Okay. So this is the foundation device, the energy device. I found it really invaluable when people have, for instance, had corona or had one of these flu-y type illnesses and they're left feeling a bit ugh. This device has really, really helped bounce people back to good health. At least that's been my experience, both for myself, my family, and for other people who I've given this device to. They've all said it's really, really helped. Also post-surgery as well, getting over the anaesthetic and bouncing back. So let's move on to the next device, which is about detoxing. And before we get to the device, I want to introduce this guy who many people have heard of, Dr. Royal Raymond Rife, who again was very involved with bioresonance and is also, often thought of as the founder of bioresonance. He developed this huge microscope here, which enabled him to magnify particularly pathogens to such a rate that he could see them clearly under the microscope and watch how they responded. And he discovered that not only do each of our organs have their own resonant frequency, but each microorganism and each pathogen also have their own frequency, which could be isolated. And he discovered through his research with this microscope that if he played back the frequency of a pathogen into the pathogen at a slightly amplified rate, that pathogen would die. But none of the surrounding healthy tissue would be affected. So effectively, he discovered that we can destroy pathogens and microorganisms that aren't designed to be in us, things that don't belong to us. We could destroy them very simply without affecting our tissues, which is pretty amazing. The process is a bit like this. I don't know if you've seen this happen at school, maybe in a physics lesson, or whether you've heard of this happening. Glass obviously has its own resonant frequency, and so does each note that we might sing. So if I were to sing the particular note of a glass, let's say I'm holding up a glass here, and I were to sing the note that has the same frequency of that glass, nothing would happen. But if I got an opera singer to come in who's going to sing much more powerfully, kind of amplified volume, and they were to sing that note, the glass would probably explode, because that strength of resonant sound would destroy the glass. And this is what happens to pathogens, viruses, mold, fungi, parasites, worms, these sorts of things that we might have in the body when we expose them to their own frequencies. And this little device, it's called the Deta AP means antiparasitic, has the ability to eliminate all of those pathogenic microorganisms that don't belong to us without any side effects. In this device, there's 2,500 different programs addressing all sorts of different toxins and pathogens. There's also many automatic programs that can be worked with that string together shorter programs into long, big kind of bumper packed programs. But I'm not going to talk more about that now. What I'd like to mention here is one of the things that this device does, which is incredibly important for our health, is that it affects the ECM, the extracellular matrix, which is a long word, which simply refers to the spaces between our cells. Between each cell, there's a space through which blood vessels pass and oxygen can diffuse from our blood into our cells. Waste products can move from the cell back out to be eliminated. We can absorb vitamins and nutrients again into the cell. So it's a space through which nutrients and then waste products can pass, amongst other things. And it needs to be a free-flowing space. It needs to be like the water in a river, just able to flow. However, when we reach a certain level of toxins, when our bodies have a certain amount of toxins and pathogens, more than the liver can cope with and process easily, they begin to pile up in this extracellular matrix space between our cells. And that space, instead of being free-flowing, becomes like a river that's been dammed up, or like roads at rush hour, traffic jams, cars nose to nose, not able to move freely. And what that means is that our cells literally become starved. They can't receive the nutrients, they can't receive enough oxygen, they can't excrete their waste products, so they become poisoned effectively. And many of us will have symptoms of ill health because this space between our cells is so congested and bunged up with toxins that the liver can't process. So one of the really important things that this AP device is that, here we've got the traffic jam of toxins here lined up like cars in a traffic jam. It begins to break these down into small enough particles that they can be flushed out through the drainage pathways and eliminated, so that our cells can start excreting properly, they can begin absorbing properly. And it's interesting, perhaps, I never knew this until recently, that many of us take vitamin and mineral supplements, but if this space between our cells is congested, we're unable to absorb those good nutrients. And so the nutrients just get added to this extracellular matrix and become a toxin themselves. So taking lots of vitamins, if this space is clogged up, is not such good news. So it's really important that we free up that space and we begin to flush out and eliminate our toxins. And I'd like to show you a little video, again, it's 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes long, which is showing the effect of this little detox device on some paramycelium single cell organelles that are under a big microscope, a bit like the Rife microscope that I was showing you a few slides back. So let's get this video started. Here we can see these little single-celled creatures. There's quite a few of them on the slide here, wiggling around. Now, the frequency of these single cells is being played into them through this device, which will be somewhere at the side of the slide. So they are receiving their own frequency played back to them at an amplified rate. And we're going to watch what happens. This is in real time, so this is actually the time it happens. Can you see this one is just spilling its guts here? So it's dying. And this one is doing the same, it's just exploding, as is this one now as well, beginning, and this one. So they slow down and then they explode, they become destroyed. You can see already there's less wrigglers. This one's now doing the same. This one's also expelling its contents. So there's much less activity, still a couple wriggling around. This one's beginning to slow down at the bottom. There, that one's exploding. This one's exploding now. So that was probably less than a minute. These little creatures have been exposed to their own frequency. Now the person with the slide is looking to see if they can find any more signs of life. And they find this one, which is quite a big one. So again, this is now under the influence of its own frequency, beginning to slow down. And it's now exploding, becoming destroyed.
The only thing I don't understand is if it destroys things, bad things, but not good things. How does that?
Something's got to ask.
Sorry, are you asking a question?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was, yes. How can it destroy bad things and not good things?
Because the exact frequency of, in this case, those single cell organelles there, the paramycium, has been isolated, and just that frequency is being played back into the body. So the frequencies of the rest of the body aren't being affected. It's just that those cells, their frequency being played back into them at an amplified rate. And so they respond, in this case, by dying.
I realise that, but I don't understand then how it can improve a good cell, a liver cell or whatever.
Oh, we'll get onto that in a minute. So this device is the one that is working in this way, playing just the frequencies of everything we don't need. So, for instance, there's 2,500 programs on this device. I have heavy metal in me, so I use this device partly to play the programs for heavy metal to help expel that, which has been working very, very effectively. Depending on what you have in your body that you don't need, you will play the programs for that to eliminate and detox that. But we're going to get on to, in a moment, when my slide moves, in a minute, we'll get on to the device that will build up and restore and improve health in the rest of our body. So bear with me, and we'll come to that in a second. There have been a lot of clinical trials with these devices. There have been 173 three-stage clinical trials looking at the effectivity of using frequency to eradicate pathogens and build up health. And the results are things like this. These are pretty high rates. So parasites, there was a 96% eradication rate. Helicobacter pylori, 92% eradication rate. Hepatitis, 90%. So these are quite, quite decent illustrations of improvement. And I've got a few slides here to show you some pictures of how effective this device is. So here we've got some Staphylococcus. And after just 2 treatments with the device, you can see a massive change. So the number of cells is much lower than before. This is just after 2 treatments of an hour each. So you can imagine if the person was using this device each day, the cells would gradually completely be obliterated. These are obviously samples under a microscope. Here we've got Listeria. Again, after just 2 uses of the machine, you can see a stunning difference. Here we've got E. coli before, and again after just 2 uses of the program, which is in this case 1 hour 18 minutes, the cells have been completely destroyed over here. One of the things that's worth adding with this device is that they've made a whole set of programs to deal with coronavirus, both to prevent it, to remove the virus if you do catch it, and to restore organs afterwards. And this is really quite important because many people who've had corona, but also other illnesses and conditions, of course, as well, find that their organs are damaged or affected in some way, be that seriously or just a little bit. There's a lot of feeling under par, feeling lethargic, feeling tired, having lingering effects from flu-type illnesses. And this is where the third device comes in that you were talking about or asking about just now, Jeremy. Every organ, as I said earlier, has its own resonant frequency. So as an example, this is the heart, and the frequency of the heart, the healthy heart, is 7.83 hertz. Now, it's been discovered that if our healthy organs become weakened and the frequency of oscillation is below par and we have symptoms, if we can play back using a bioresonance device, if we can play back the healthy frequency, so if this was the heart that was weakened, if we could play back 7.83 hertz, that, like the story of the tuning fork, the heart would begin to pick up, it would begin to recognize its own healthy frequency and begin to join in with it and begin to mirror that. And if that was done on a daily basis over a number of days, weeks, could be months, depending on what it is you're trying to improve, that the heart would then be able to maintain its healthy level of functioning. So through this matching of frequency, we can restore health to an organ or a cell. So the previous device, with the detox device, the system is that if you play the frequency of a pathogenic microorganism back into it and you amplify it slightly, that organism will die. But with this device, if you play the healthy frequency of an organ back into it, it will pick up, join in, like learning that song on the radio that I was talking about, and it will become stronger and healthier. So in this way, we can recalibrate the body and build up the healthy functioning of the body by playing those healthy resonances back into different organs, different cells, different body systems. So we have this device, which is called the Deta Rhythm. Rhythm means rhythm. It's recalibrating, you could say, the rhythms of our cells. And again, it has 2,500 programs for the layperson to use, and also many automatic programs that consist of smaller programs all strung together. And the way this works is a bit like if you have kids and you've gone to a playground with them and they've said, give me a push on the swing, and you give them a push and the swing then swings out and in, and you might give them another little push and the swing then makes its movement. And this machine, as it plays the healthy frequencies back into our organs, is a bit like someone pushing on the swing. It's saying, do you remember this? It's this. And then the body does it a bit and it says, remember this? And it just gives a little nudge, and it keeps nudging the body. It keeps showing the body its healthy frequency until at some point the body can maintain the swing, if you like, itself. Now, on these two devices, there are many what they call complexes that have been designed for the layperson to work on different conditions, on bettering different parts of themselves, different body systems. So for instance, if you had one of these, you would turn it on and you would see lots of headings that would say things like active immune system, stop allergies, stop stress, heart and circulation, digestion, women's health, men's health, lots of different headings which enable us to work on improving different conditions that fall within these headings. Let's just go back there a second. And this is something I'm happy to talk with anyone more about if you'd like to know more. As I say, there are many programs in these devices, and they've been categorized into different sections to help people know which programs to work with. There are individual programs, so you can look up E. coli and work with that if you know you've got E. coli, but you can equally work with these automatic programs that consist of many programs strung together to make it easier to target a condition or an illness. Sorry, my computer's doing something funny here. Switching slide. And the lovely thing about these is that if you have these devices, you can use them to address almost any condition, be it mental or physical. You can use them in your family, kids can use them, different family members can use them, and there's no side effects, which is rather lovely. So now I shall consciously move to this slide. I want to briefly mention a couple of other devices. This is a device called the BRT, which means bioresonance therapy. And it's, I believe, the only bioresonance therapy device working in a similar way to the bigger machines, which is actually portable. This is a very effective device, especially if you've got an inflammatory condition or a chronic condition that might have some inflammatory element to it, so an autoimmune disease, or, well, let's face it, a lot of the illnesses that are around these days have some base of inflammation. This is a machine that works using the frequencies that are in the body. It doesn't bring in frequencies from the outside like the mini devices. It works with the frequencies that are in the body, the ones that aren't supposed to be there. So it will very cleverly read the body and find the frequencies that shouldn't be there, the disharmonious frequencies. So the frequencies that belong to pathogens, for example, or toxins or inflammation. And it reverses them, it turns them upside down. And this deactivates them, cancels them out. And in this process of seeking out everything that's disharmonious and deactivating it, the healthy frequencies are strengthened. And this has the effect of quenching inflammation, so hugely reducing inflammation, which is again very, very useful if you have condition like arthritis, or you have a cancer, or you have any inflammatory condition. But it's also good as a prevention for health going downhill. So this can be used to treat conditions, but it can be used a couple of times a week as a prevention, as a kind of insurance for good health, if you like. It uses the energy of the body to help strengthen the immune system, to balance the body, to clean out that space between the cells. It can halt conditions in their track in the acute phases. So if you feel like you're getting a cold, or you feel like you're going down with something, you can use this. In fact, you can do a double session. A session is 20 minutes and help halt that illness from continuing and becoming an actual flu. It can be used in many ways. So again, I'm happy to talk to people more about this if you'd like to know more. Very useful device to have at home. Again, the whole family can use it, and a session takes 20 minutes. It just involves holding 2 copper tubes, or I think they're brass, and putting your feet on 2 brass plates and sitting there for 20 minutes.
In Germany.
So people often say, well, yeah, do these devices work? And it's very easy to say yes, having used them, but sometimes it's nice to know that actually these devices have a long history. This company has been running for about 27, 28 years or so now. They've got patents in 73 countries. They've won all sorts of awards. They've done masses and masses of research over the last 2 or more decades. And they were, interestingly, originally given the stamp from the Russian Ministry of Health as being medical devices, and they were used in hospitals and clinics to treat people medically. But some time ago, a few years ago, when the devices were updated and the technology was improved, they weren't allowed to keep that medical stamp without redoing all of the trials, which would have taken a long time and been extremely costly. So they now have the official stamp as being wellness devices, but many places still use them in hospitals and clinics. But for me, in answer to do these work, I think a really good way of answering that is just to show you some pictures of before and after effects. So I've got a few photos here of clients from some of the doctors who work with these devices. And this is a little boy, 4.5 years old, but pretty much from birth suffered from really bad eczema. You can see how inflamed his face is here. Now in England, if you had a child with eczema, as many of my friends have had, they've gone off to the GP and they've been given emollient creams and steroid creams and that sort of thing. They haven't been tested for the cause of the eczema. So it's quite interesting to see that this little boy, when he saw the bioresonance doctor and had a scan, was diagnosed with Giardia, Staphylococcus and Streptococcus, these being the root causes of the illness. So that was what was treated, these three things, Giardia, Staphylococcus and Streptococcus, using the detox device that I showed you earlier, that we saw zapping away those little wiggly single cell organelles. And you can see over the course of the year, his skin has got better and better until after a year here, he's completely better. Thank goodness. Here we see herpes, so rather nasty skin here. And here it is nice and healed. This was a child who had an immune disorder. Their immune system collapsed and they picked up all sorts of different bugs, viruses, pathogens, etc. And one of the effects of that was this very nasty, uncomfortable condition on his foot. But you can see after working with the devices, there's really quite a huge change there. This is somebody with prostatitis. Perhaps a little confusing to see what we're looking at here, but if you look at the readings of the volume of the prostate gland here, you can see that after working with the eliminatory device here, the volume has decreased by 1/3, which is a significant amount there. I'm not sure if this was the end of treatment or just partway through, but we can see there's a 1/3 reduction in volume. This is someone with psoriasis. You can see here quite nasty inflamed skin, and afterwards here, same area is nice and healed up, completely calm. And this is somebody in Germany who had a brain tumour, couldn't be operated on, and the hospital said there's nothing you can do about this. But after a 1.5 years of working with these devices, you can see this tumour here has gone, and the hospital apparently were most flummoxed and didn't understand what had happened to it. So that was after, you can see here, about 1.5 years.
Wow.
There have been lots of usage of these devices for people with diabetes. A bit difficult to see the results here, but it's one of the commonly treated things. So I've mentioned there have been lots of 3-stage clinical trials. These are some of the writings about that, some of the certificates that have been awarded guaranteeing the safety of the devices. I've mentioned already that in Russia, where these were first developed, the government awarded this stamp of these devices being medical devices, and they used them to treat the nation successfully. So, with these devices, one of the things that I find so incredibly useful is that they can be used to treat most things that you can think of, most of the conditions that come up day to day, as well as chronic conditions as well. So if you have these devices, especially if you have all 3 of them, it really is like having a first aid kit in your pocket, having a kind of personal doctor in your pocket that you can get on and use, and that you can use, as I say, for the whole family, and really successfully improve health. But not everybody has the means to get these devices. Not everybody wants to be using them. And so the company have a few supporting products, some of which are based on bioresonance, which just offer an alternative. They're a little bit cheaper and simpler to use. Not that the devices are difficult to use by any means, they're very simple. But this is one of their latest devices, which come in the form of pendants. They're called the Dematrix pendants, and they look like this. And they've developed these pendants to support different body systems, different organs. And they do contain some frequencies that have been programmed into them. But they work with not just the frequencies, but with a combination of 5 different inputs. So in this little pendant here, is about the size of a walnut in diameter, there are some homeopathic preparations which have a very restorative effect on whatever the organ is that's being worked on. There are herbal preparations. There are some inverted homeopathic nosodes, which have an anti-parasitic effect and help the healing process of each organ or body system. They, as I mentioned, have programs, frequencies programmed into them from 2 of the devices I've been talked about. And they also work with sacred geometry to enhance the overall effect of those other ingredients. And they have 8 at the moment. There's a couple more coming out in the new year. One for supporting female health. This is a lot to do with the reproductive system and hormones. There's one called Detox V, which is designed to help detox the effects of vaccines. So when people are concerned with shedding or getting rid of some of the gunk from all the vaccines that have been around, this is a good supportive pendant to have. They've also got one to help strengthen the body against picking up corona. And then if you have had corona or flu or some sort of viral infection, they have this pendant to help rehabilitate and build strength after that. There's one for male health, one to support heart and circulation, one to support the kidneys and urinary system, and one to support the liver. So these are good, much cheaper options, easy to use, still working with frequency and having a potent effect. Now, whether you're using those or the BRT machine or the mini devices that I've talked about, none of them will work if you're not drinking enough water. So the company Deta Elis, who developed these devices, have developed this oddly shaped water bottle, which makes water even more health-giving by hydrogenating it or ozonating it. And it can also be turned into a nebulizer to enable you to inhale hydrogen. And for those who don't know, hydrogen is absolute food for our cells. It's absorbed right into the center of the cell, into the mitochondria, to help energize our cells. And it has the effect of eliminating free radicals. Free radicals are hugely responsible for the aging process and cellular degeneration. So imagine if you could eliminate those free radicals and energize your cells, all sorts of things would begin to improve. And these are just some of the things that have been discovered through 340 clinical trials looking at the effects of hydrogen in the body. Things like, as I've said, toxins are removed. There's a lot of anti-aging effects. And in fact, when you take in hydrogen, it enables your cells to release an enzyme that speeds up cellular repair and slows down the aging process. Really importantly, it's neuroprotective. So if you have any cognitive challenge or neurological degeneration or scarring or damage, hydrogen will really help feed your brain and your neurological tissue and help bring about repair as much as is possible. Reduces fatigue, protects your cells, it boosts immunity, and there's many positive effects. So the company have developed this bottle. If you're feeling a bit brain foggy or slow or sluggish, or you feel you're beginning to get ill, you can use an attachment on the bottle that comes with it to turn this into a nebulizer, and you can breathe in, as this woman's doing, pure hydrogen. And this is something I did when I had corona last year, and I did feel quite brain foggy. And when I started drinking the hydrogen water and nebulizing, I literally felt like a light switch had been turned on in my brain, and I felt very much kind of able to focus and concentrate and use my mind in a way that I hadn't for the few weeks before when everything felt so sluggish. So this is a brilliant tool to have. You can not only hydrogenate the water and breathe in the hydrogen, but you can also ozonate it. So if you want to have a mouthwash, for instance, that doesn't have any chemicals or any nasties in, you can swizzle your mouth.
Oops, she's gone.
Funny, I should cover up.
Is yours fully charged? Or?
I think so, yeah, 42%. Oh dear.
and stick your feet in it or clean a wound with it.
Delia, we lost you there for about a minute.
Yeah.
30 seconds maybe.
Right. Did you hear me say anything with this slide?
No, not with
Oh.
this slide, not with this current slide.
Okay. Gosh, I don't know what happened there. Thank you for telling me. So ozone water is antibacterial, antibiotic, antiseptic, antifungal, antiviral. It's brilliant when you need to clean something. You need to get rid of the nasties. So if you have a wound that needs washing, or if you have a toothbrush head that you want to clean the bacteria from, or if you have the beginnings of a sore throat, you can make ozone water using this bottle and you can gargle with it, or you can use it as a mouthwash. Or if you have bad breath or gum disease. In fact, I've had someone with gum disease using this and it's hugely helped to repair the gums by keeping the bacteria at bay. You can use it as a foot bath, foot soak, if you've got any sort of fungal toenail type infections, athlete's foot, that sort of thing. You can wash your kitchen surfaces with it. You can basically use it for anything where you need antiseptic properties. So it's great to have a bottle that you can use both to make the water more healthy with the hydrogen, giving it these energizing, detoxing properties. And yet you can also use it to create antiseptic water. So this is the bottle really is a product that they promote to use alongside the devices, but of course you can also use it on its own if you don't want to use bioresonance devices. It's a fantastic way of just building health within your body using the bottle. There's also these health tonics. They call them Delixias, and there's actually 6 of them. There's only 4 showing in this picture. Some people might be working with the bioresonance devices, and if they've been chronically ill or chronically fatigued, they might need an extra little boost. And so these 6 elixirs have been developed using organic fruit juices and extracts of berries and roots and natural vegetables, products, etc. There's one that I personally love, this collagen one. Often women love this for just helping maintain the collagen structure and a youthful effect. But some people need extra help with detoxing. So if somebody's been very ill or been taking drugs for a long time, you might need extra help detox. So there's a detox combo of fruit juices and roots and berries, etc. If people have been very fatigued, very ill, very lacking in energy, there's this multi-energy one. It tastes absolutely delicious. If people are very acidic and need to balance their acid alkaline, their pH more, again, there's a Delixia for that. So there's these tonics. Again, I'm happy to talk more about them. They've also developed a state-of-the-art probiotic, because of course, when many people are detoxing and changing their maybe parasites and worms and things that are in their guts, it's very helpful to build up with really good probiotics. So these are some of the supporting products, which I won't go more into now, that this product, this company have developed. I'm going to come out of screen share, come back to seeing you on the screen. I've whizzed through that, but a lot of pictures, a lot of information, and I think it's time for me to stop talking and to ask if any of you have questions or things you'd like to ask, having had a brief introduction to some of these devices. So please feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like to ask anything.
Oh, we muted him.
I think no. I think oh no, we are. No, we're not muted. No, we're not muted.
What have you got a question?
I have a question. Oh yeah. I have a question.
Do you want to ask something?
Yeah, thank you. So, do these machines also help to find out actually what is there, or do you need to already have a diagnosis? So, for example, if you've got some gut issues and you're trying to work out whether it's Candida or whether it's another type of fungus or something like that. Do these machines help that, or is that's a separate thing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Thank you for bringing that up, because I haven't really addressed that yet. So there's two answers. Obviously, first of all, to have the most potent effect with the device, you've got to have the right diagnosis. So as you say, if you've got tummy ache and you play the program for some parasite or other, but actually it's a result of Candida, then your tummy ache might not go away. So you need to know what you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
So one option is that every 3 months I bring over a doctor who works with these devices, who has a medically diagnostic bioresonance scanner.
Mm-hmm.
And he's coming in January, and as I say, every 3 months, and he gives sessions here where he scans people via points on their finger. And the scan is quite amazing. It gives you a very comprehensive readout of everything that's going on in your body and all the specific pathogens and viral load and toxic load and imbalances and you name it. And then he will tailor make programs for these devices and upload them onto them for you. And you can work with then your own tailor-made package. So that's one way of working, to actually come and have a scan, to have exactly the programs you need made for you, and then to work with them. And you might come and have a few scans over the next however many months to peel back the different pathogens layer by layer and to build up and restore your health in whatever area it needs restoring. However, not everybody can do that. So these devices also are designed for the layperson. So there are lots of programs. If you don't know what exactly you're addressing, there are lots of programs that you can work with, these things called automatic programs that consist of combinations of different programs that will systematically take you through eliminating all the things generally that are involved when you have a digestive issue or a heart issue or this issue or that issue. And you would work over a number of months. You'd have a schedule that tells you which programs to use, and that would generally clean out all the usual culprits and build up all the usual things that need building up. And then if you did, from whatever place, discover via whatever means, discover what the actual culprit is, like you discover, oh yeah, it is actually Candida, then you could also play the specific Candida programs. But the likelihood is if you were working with a digestive issue and you do the general digestive programs, that would include Candida anyway. So I've had people who I've given these devices to in Scotland or America or places like that, and they've got huge benefit through working with them in this way, designed for the lay person. But if anyone's interested in a scan, we have Dr. Yanis coming over from Athens in January 19th to the 23rd, and then he'll be over in April again. The other option is I have a scanner, which is not a medically diagnostic scanner, but it's another scanning device the company make for alternative therapists to use, that gives you a general readout of your general health and organ function and immune function, your energy levels, your meridian function. It gives you a relatively comprehensive readout and then recommendations of how to use these devices to improve your health. And I'm here in Forest Row, and anyone can come and have that scan, which, as it won't pinpoint you've got this parasite or that virus, but it will tell you we need to support this organ, we need to build up this is really good, this needs more attention, etc., etc.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I don't want to, anyway, I'll just go with my second question, but oh yeah, so what does it look like typically in a day? You know, if you're working through, you know, a detox,
Yeah,
and a gut reset, for example, what sort of timings in a day or night or? Well,
generally speaking, in the ideal world, you use the detoxing device in the night when you're resting. If you, not everybody does, but that's the ideal time. So you would simply have the device, and what I do is I have a little bit of tubey grip bandage and I usually put it around my ankle, but you could put it around your arm, and you just put it on, and you, can I do this with one hand, slide it underneath, hold over the bottom so it can't fall out. So I do that on my leg and then just go to bed, and when it's finished it'll turn itself off. In the day I have, no, I don't have, where's it gone? It must have taken it off to show you. I usually put my program on and I loop it through a belt loop
I've just asked
and
how-
stick it in a pocket.
Mm.
And I just loop it through that belt loop so that it can't fall out and get damaged. So usually I just have that in my pocket, and then I go about my daily activities. Sometimes I stick it, women often stick it down a bra. My brother puts it in a big sock. So you just have it somewhere on your body. It doesn't have to be touching your skin. And then you
No
just
EMF
crack on and do what you want to
issues
do.
No EMF issues constantly against the body.
No, there's, because remember, these aren't emitting harmful electromagnetic fields. They're
Even the power supply.
They're only using the frequency your body has. So your body is just recognizing its own healthy resonances. You're not subjecting yourself to any harmful stuff.
Okay.
So you just need the back of the device facing your body, because the back emits 15 centimeters of frequency. And it's always good to put it in a protective case, so that you can tie it on to something like a belt loop so that it doesn't fall or bang or get wet. So it looks like that. So they're very simple to use. You just need to make sure you drink enough water.
Oh, right.
Frequency is carried around your body through the fluid content of your body, which is partly why you need water. And then obviously the detox process requires water. So was someone else asking a question there?
I was going to say, the Rayonex thing I've got here, it sounds like I mean, I think bioresonance is a fantastic way forward, by the way. So this is kind of showing a little thing about this. It's kind of it's more targeted probably than your products, and so you can actually you can go in and find individual frequencies, and they use the word harmonize them rather than sort of cure them or something. So you can be attached. You can be in like a specialized chair, or we can have like straps like the one you've got, sort of, so you can apply those frequencies. So it might work quite well in concert with your devices.
I mean, the devices I have here, you can also work with individual frequencies. Just to be clear, you can work with single frequencies or combination ones.
Because I'm in forestry as well, so we should get together and see how the machines are.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, let's do that.
I'll send you an email.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to ask?
When you say drink lots of water, I mean, how much?
How many litres a day?
Yes, and tea and coffee, or tea or coffee presumably doesn't count.
Not really. No, I mean, ideally 1.5 litres to 2 litres,
Oh, right.
that sort of amount. And yeah, that's not really including tea and coffee.
No. Okay. Thank you.
Just do you recommend, and Dr. Yanis, also that as well as the water, you need to be taking in the right kind of raw materials in terms of the minerals and things like that? Is that in order for the body to go through that process, or does somehow the bioresonant frequencies bypass the need for those? Because I know we're often deficient in those kinds of things.
Well, obviously, the more healthy you are generally, more easily these frequencies can have an effect, because they're not fighting against a lifetime of burgers and chips, let's say. So for bioresonance to work, you've got to be a bit sensible. You've got to work with it. So yes, you need to drink enough water. And if you're at the same time living on fast food and spending the day watching TV and not moving, the results are not going to be brilliant, let's say, you need to be sensible. So if you're trying to improve your liver function, you need to be having a healthy diet as far as possible. You need to be exercising as far as possible. Ideally you're having organic food, you're not putting in more chemicals and pathogens. But there's no rule book saying you must eat organic food and you must blah blah blah. They do say ideally, reduce sugar. Ideally, don't have fizzy drinks. Reduce alcohol, because these are all things that just enable your body to work better with the devices. Some people will want to have an enema or a colonic or take psyllium husk or something to help the detox process. A lot of people won't. When the doctor comes, he won't say you've got to go and take all these herbs and have colonics. But if you want to do that, that's absolutely fine. You're just going to speed up the flushing out process. So it's a matter of being sensible. If you're coming back to your question about vitamins and minerals, if you're taking lots of vitamins and minerals, but your extracellular matrix is all bunged up, that's not going to be doing you any good. They're going to be creating waste products. As you clear that out, obviously you will absorb more. And this is quite interesting. In the scans, it will show up if you're deficient in a vitamin or a mineral. But if you are, because a lot of us are, it doesn't mean you should supplement with more. It means that your cells aren't receiving enough of that vitamin or mineral. So he will say, just do the detox, let's over the next few months see what happens, because usually as people detox their extracellular matrix, their cells are then able to absorb the nutrients that you do have from your food, and then you're not deficient anymore. So that's been something that I've found quite fascinating, rather than, because I'm someone who normally would run out and buy another pot of whatever I think I'm lacking in. But he said, no, don't do that. We need to just clear away the weeds so that your body can actually absorb what's there.
Oh,
Interesting.
Can I ask about the water?
Yes.
So the water that you talked about, is it called ozone water?
Yeah, hydrogen. It's called the Deaqua bottle, and it makes hydrogen water and ozone water.
So do you recommend that be the water that one drinks during the day, or is that a supplement to the 1.5 to 2 litres
Oh, no.
that one should drink?
Thankfully not. That would be quite tough if we had to drink 1.5 litres of water and this. No, I drink kind of 4 bottles of this a day, and then I inevitably have other bits of water here and there, or maybe some herb tea or whatever. No, this can be the water you're drinking.
Okay, great.
With
Thank
hydrogen in, that will really help the detox. So you can drink as much of this as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's quite delicious. People get quite hooked on it, usually because the body starts craving it once it's experienced water with hydrogen in it.
And it's easy enough to tell the difference between hydrogenated and ozoned water, is it?
It is. To make it, you fill the bottle up to the top, and then if I flick this twice, click, just watch what happens. The blue line going on. You can see those bubbles. So that's hydrogen, and that will happen for 5 minutes. If I click that 3 times, that would happen for 10 minutes to give you even more hydrogen, which will give you an extra energy burst. Let me just turn that off. So this is what happens if I ozonate the water. So I just press and hold. And then it's flashing red and blue, and it's bleeping like a little disco something or other. So that's telling me I'm ozonating it.
Right.
oh,
And you don't drink that.
yes, you can.
No, I
drink.
don't think you can drink
Well,
ozone.
you can drink ozone water, but usually when you buy or make ozone water to drink, it's made with a different machine and an external oxygen canister that goes through a ozonation machine and then gets infused into the water. This is designed as a portable bottle, and it works with electrolysis plates in the bottom here. And when you make ozone with electrolysis, it's not really designed to be used to drink. It's more designed to be used as a disinfectant. So whilst it's not going to kill you to drink it, the idea with this bottle is that you make ozone to clean and to disinfect, and you make hydrogen to drink, or you put the little attachment on to breathe in the hydrogen. And there's also an attachment, you can take all of this off, and there's a little attachment you can screw into the bottom here that enables you to take just the bottom away on holiday and attach it to a big bottle of mineral water and hydrogenate or ozonate the whole mineral water bottle. So if you're away on holiday or you're just out for the day, you could just take the base, buy a mineral water bottle and do the whole lot. So it's quite a comprehensive piece of kit.
Yeah, interesting.
Yes, great.
Anything else before we finish?
What sort of costs are they?
That's always the question. Yeah, so the question is whether there's any special offers on. The costs all come in euros because they come from Europe, so it's a little bit of question about the exchange rate and yeah, how much you're buying. So the prices will vary a bit. This bottle, for example, the normal price for this is 270 euros, so that's about 230 pounds, something like that. The devices, the energy one is a little bit cheaper. That's around the 480 mark. The other two, which can be programmed, a little bit more expensive. They're around the, off the top of my head, the 550 mark. So if you were having all three devices, it's an investment of roughly £1.5 grand. But then you've got them for the rest of your life to work with anything that comes up, and to use for different family members if you have them. So it's an initial outlay, but then what people tend to say to me is they've saved money with other things because their health's got better and they can keep using them and they haven't had to buy so many supplements or whatever's. There are, if any of you are practitioners, there's also ways of, if you're interested in using these with clients, in having a practitioner account, getting them a bit cheaper. So you can talk to me if you're interested in that. And there's special offers on. So at the moment, if you buy an energy device and one of the other two devices, it doesn't matter which one, there's a 12% discount. So if you're interested and you want to know actual prices, just get in contact and we'll look at the best way of working it out, because there's lots of ifs and buts with exchange rates and offers and those sorts of things. Great.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Okay, well, thank you for showing up. Please do contact me to ask more questions if you have them, or if you'd like to know more. I can send you information and videos and bits and pieces if you'd like that. If you would like to have a medically diagnostic scan, then Dr. Yanis is here 19th to the 23rd of January, and then again in April. There's slots are filling up. There's a few slots left, so do let me know. Or if you'd like to have a non-medical scan, but nevertheless an accurate scan, giving you a physical and an energetic illustration of your health, I can do that anytime here.
Brilliant.
Can I just ask one more question?
Yeah.
So if you have an appointment with Dr. Yanis and you don't actually own a machine because you're not entirely sure which one's the right one, between the time of the diagnosis that he gives you or the readout and obtaining one of the devices, is that okay? I mean, does that still make sense?
Yes, I mean, so my response is, if you're interested, one, I could talk with you about which device would be best, and help you with that. If you come for a scan and you don't have the devices, he will make programs for you if you think you might like to use the devices, and he will email them usually to me. And then as and when you buy the devices, I can upload them onto the device for you, or I can send you the programs and tell you how to do it. You just need a Windows computer to be able to do that. If you bought the devices beforehand, then he can make programs and put them straight on the devices there and then for you. The other thing to think about is that when you first have a scan, before he can start addressing the deeper issues, so that the pathogens, for example, that might be at the root cause of some health issue that are lying kind of somewhere deep in the metaphorical layers of the onion, if you think of the body as an onion, he will have to first peel off the first layer of the onion, metaphorically. So when you first come, the detox programs will be a kind of general, more superficial detox that peels back the first layer. And then when you come for a second scan 3 months later, he will then have access to the deeper layers and begin to start targeting in a more deep and intense way those specific things that are unique to you. So if you already know that this is of interest and this is what you want to do, one way of saving a scan is to buy the devices now. I have the initial programs that he would give people. So you spend the next few weeks working with those initial programs. And then when you come for the scan, he can go straight in and make you the more deep and intense programs to start working with. So that's just another consideration. But either way, if you come for a scan with or without devices, it doesn't matter. If you decide at some point to get them, we can upload the programs that he's made for you. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you
Okay.
very much indeed.
Well, thank you all. We turn this recording off. Thank you.